So Alex, how are you today?
I'm doing well, Noah. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, thank you. Before we start, why don't you just tell us a little about yourself, about your career, if you want, so people who are watching who don't know you can learn.
Yeah, so my name is Alex Astrella, and I am the founder and CEO of Blue Star Productions. Blue Star Productions is dedicated to bringing awareness and visibility to neurodivergent creators, any visual artist who is on the spectrum or is ADHD, any neurodivergence. We welcome their talents and want to foster their talents. And I also produce my own films, usually documentaries, which are under the Blue Star banner.
What's innate about each and every one of us is that we are made of love. We are made of the capacity for resiliency to make and create what it is that we want in life. And I learned that while in prison.
What is your earliest memory that you can think of wanting to become a filmmaker?
That's a good question. I think my earliest memory, I remember when I was in the fifth grade, and that time I was really into war movies and stuff, and I was like, it'd be cool to do like a World War II feature length like film. And at that point, I was like 10 or 11. I just started writing in a journal, like double spacing, like it was almost like a book format. And so I got like 10 pages into that, and I just kind of lost interest. But yeah, and then I guess it was later on, like when I was an undergrad at UC Santa Barbara, where I was majoring in film and media studies. Initially, I was just going to kind of go into the theory side of it. But then I started being like, films from an early age have always kind of provided an outlet or an escape for me. Being on the autism spectrum myself, just a way for me to, escape. So why don't I like kind of try my hand, making them, not just writing scripts, but actually like directing and creating them. And so, yeah, that's where I did my first project at Santa Barbara. And so for the last 6 years now, I've just been creating films ever since and absolutely love it.
I certainly know that from experience, becoming a filmmaker is challenging. What are some challenges that you ran into when starting your career in film, and how did you conquer them?
Early on, I was doing narrative work. Those were certainly challenging. I think working with actors, all the pre-production that's involved with narrative works, it was just a lot for me to handle, especially being a novice to the film industry. I think, I'm proud of those experiences though, because they helped me become a better filmmaker. And I learned from that. It's like, okay, maybe narrative isn't my thing, or at least not at that point in time. And so that's how I pivoted over to documentary. But again, I think I carried some of those lessons learned from those early narrative films into the my documentary storytelling and, just being a professional on set. So those challenges were definitely worth it in the long run.
What difficulties or challenges do you have to conquer being a neurodivergent individual in the film industry, would you say?
That's a really good question. So I've run into just a lot of, I think, like misunderstandings and kind of like expectations. I think that people, even though they know I'm neurodivergent, they don't really maybe process it when they're like, writing out an email or a text message or whatever. And that's okay. I think, I myself learn through mistakes or lessons, and it doesn't take away from the fact that I am very fortunate to work with some great people and have correspondence with great people. I just think that sometimes non-neurodivergent people, it kind of slips their mind that they're talking to somebody who's neurodivergent, and, I interpret things in a different way than most people might expect. So that can definitely present a challenge from time to time.
Can you think of any people in your life that might have helped you through a situation that you had at one point?
The first person that comes to mind is my mom. She, from the get-go, has just been super supportive of my film works and has like contributed money to a lot of them as well. she's even helped me with my documentary treatments. Some of the rough cuts I've had, she'll give feedback. She's a big reason I got into film. She would take me or my friends to the movies all the time when I was a kid. And so she has a good eye and really knows like what makes a good film. So I have to give like utmost credit to my mom. She's the one who really, inspired me early on. And, there were points where I was like, I don't know if this is the right thing for me. And her support and kind of like talking me through it just really helped me kind of like defy those odds.
Are there any projects that you might have worked on that were inspired by events that happened to you in real life?
I think the last two documentaries that I'm currently still working on, Free Play, which is almost completely done, and then the other film, Extraordinary Character, which is in post-production. Those are both like rooted in the special needs world and focus on neurodivergent individuals like overcoming the odds and being included in society. And maybe subconsciously we're inspired by events I went through growing up, being kind of misunderstood, but also, kind of being proud. As I got into college and grad school, I realized I'm proud of my disability. I'm proud of the things I've accomplished. So I think those things kind of like coalescing, if you will, enabled these projects rather to come to life. And they both hold like a lot of meaning to me, just being neurodivergent myself and getting to interact with the subjects who are also neurodivergent and their love for life.
It's really great what you said about being proud of your disability. How would you say that you express that in your works?
I think just ensuring that the subjects have a space to talk and a space to share their feelings, maybe their discomforts, because that's important. I think, any documentary subject you can see that, or any good documentary for that matter, you'll see the struggles they go through, but also the accomplishments that they achieve. And I think for this neurodivergent population, it is especially important to highlight those accomplishments because they might be a bit more challenging than, neurotypical people face. And again, seeing their joy and pure passion for when they accomplish those goals, it's really awesome. It also kind of reflects thinking about how throughout my life, I've kind of had those moments, thinking like, wow, I've been very fortunate to accomplish the goals I have and, achieve the things I have despite my disability. Yeah.
So continuing with your career, what would you say has been the most fulfilling project that you have worked on?
That's a good question. I think the most fulfilling, the first one that comes to mind is my first documentary. It's called Trial by Fire, and it's about inmate firefighters and their role in helping save lives during a Thomas Fire in Santa Barbara, California in 2017. And that was my first documentary, and that documentary is still kind of like my baby. I mean, they all are, but that one is like, being my first is very special to me. And going into it, again, I was kind of, for lack of a better word, dejected based off the narratives I had done prior to that and kind of the like sour experiences I had. But it was a terrific experience. It was meant to be, I think it was a blessing, honestly, because I worked with amazing people. I got to interview amazing people, including the inmate firefighters themselves. And I'm extremely proud of that project. The reaction was amazing. I thought before it went public, I'm just proud of this person. I don't care how the crowd reacts or what the perception is. Like, I'm proud of this completing it. And it was just, fortunately, audiences felt the same way. So that was like the catalyst, I guess, and, everything that's come since.
What would be your advice for young aspiring filmmakers to overcome challenges that they might face when wanting to pursue a career in film?
Something that I live by, even outside of film, is, it's within your power. If you set your mind towards something, if you really push towards it, you can really achieve it. I guess that's kind of, popular right now is like the manifesting culture mindset. And it's a big cliche, but I think it's really true. If you set your mind to it, you can do it. If you're finding that you keep like repeating the same task, or maybe that you're just coming up short every time, setting your mind to it, thinking like really dissecting it and being like, okay, well, where am I having the most trouble? Like kind of doing some reflection. Like, is it because of me? Is it an external issue? Like, what is it that's really like hampering my creative process or whatever it may be? And like taking the time to sort that out and then addressing it and then going from there. As I talked about earlier, if you need support from, somebody like your mom or a close friend or a mentor, just not being afraid to ask for that support, because they want to see you succeed and they will help, to the best of their ability, they'll help you succeed. That would be my best advice, is just, set your mind to it, do whatever it takes to, frame, correlate your work with success and just, never give up. Keep, as long as your passion is still in it, you will find results if you put in the time and effort.
So how did you discover TMN, and what made you want to reach out to us?
Yeah, so I got an email from Pablo about, I think, a couple months ago. I just saw the message about empowering neurodivergent individuals, empowering marginalized individuals and teens especially. The message resonated with me. My company, Blue Star Productions, is empowering neurodivergent adults and youth. I think that the Teens Media Network goal to, educate and teach teens on how to be successful creators, be, passionate creators, was really cool. And so that's why I responded to that email and wanted to collaborate with Teen Media Network.
So as you may know, our three core values are kindness, trust, and respect. Is there anything else you think that TMN should emphasize on in this project? I
think kind of what I alluded to in an earlier answer, like just passion. I think it's a pretty well-known statistic that like 78% of people don't enjoy their jobs, don't enjoy their careers. And that's in the United States. And that's really sad. Honestly, we have a limited, short time on this earth. So you need to make the most of it. And it's so unfortunate that a lot of people wake up every day and are just like, I got to go into work, or I have to do this task. And so I think passion is super important, whatever walk of life you choose. And I think, along with trust, respect, and kindness, I think passion is super, because passion kind of like helps intertwine all of those together. I think when you share the same passion, you're able to trust your colleagues more. When you have the same passion, you're able to share that kindness. You're able to break down barriers. Maybe you come from a different religious background or a different ethnic background, but it's okay because you have that shared passion for talking about films or talking about your favorite, form of media. So I think that passion is just super, super important, especially in the media space. We know, according to the CDC, that 1 in 3 young people struggle with mental health issues, and this is largely due to the toxicity factor in the digital landscape. How do you think TMN is going to help address this problem? I think that, a big factor of that is just being kind of absorbed in technology and in the wrong way, refreshing your Instagram to see how many likes you have or how many followers you have. I think that's kind of, from my point of view, is kind of what leads to that like toxicity in the digital space. And so I would hope that something like Teens Media Network allows individuals who might be experiencing what they perceive as shortcomings to thrive in an environment where they have the tools, they have the collaborators and mentors to create something just beyond what's on their phone screen or what's through their Instagram profile. I think that's really important, having a way to positively use technology to be able to realize, wow, it's not so much about like the likes I get or the status I have on my profile. It's about like the things that I create or what I help create will, have a way stronger message than, how many followers I have or, what my social media profile page looks. It's, having those really valuable creations are a much bigger asset. So how do you think that you can help support our project and help TMN reach its goals of creating an environment that preaches the core values of kindness, trust, and respect? Yeah, I think, my company, Blue Star Productions, we share those same goals just with a different population, maybe, with the neurodivergent population. It just might look a bit different for neurodivergent individuals. And, as I went through as a youth, some things might have to be tailored in different ways or, explained in different ways because of, just being different. And different doesn't mean being bad. It just means, perhaps you might learn something a different way. Differences are, it's just, that's what leads to creativity. It's just different mindsets, having kindness and trust, talking about those things, whether you're neurodivergent or not neurotypical, being in a safe space, so to speak, allows individuals in that setting to thrive and will hopefully lead to, more collaborations, more projects, and just a general, the most important thing, like having fun while doing it, being, happy, feeling like you have support and people in your corner that will be there to guide you and help you out when you need it. So
what do you think about the idea of bringing teens from all around the country and beyond together to work as a team and to thrive through creativity?
Yeah, I think it's super cool. There's so many working creatively coming from different backgrounds, different parts of the world, inherently is going to bring different culture, different cultural norms. I think that's awesome. Anytime you have like a melting pot of different, people from around the world, I think that like is a breeding ground for so many creative projects, whether that be a film, whether that be a TV show, any type of media. It's a really cool thing.
If you were to describe this project in one word, what would it be and why?
That's a good question. I think compassion. Because really, at the end of the day, passion, it's might be kind of corny, but like what I was talking about before, a big belief for me is passion, but not only individual passion, having like that company to share that passion. And when you're able to support each other, maybe when things are rough, or also, alternatively support each other and congratulate each other when things are great. That's really what matters. And kind of what we were talking about earlier, bringing people together from different backgrounds. It's so cool when, despite maybe a different language or again, different religion, what have you, when you're able to have that, kind of that unspoken language of like, hey, I care about you, you care about me. This is like a safe space where I can share my feelings or thoughts, and I know we can work together to not only be productive, but create something meaningful. So I think when I think of Teen Media Network, and the last word of it, network, it's, and a network just can't be built upon like small talk. It's got to be built upon having those like, and I love that when you're able to unlock those like, deep conversations and really just find, allow yourself to be vulnerable and hopefully, your colleague to be vulnerable with you. That's what leads to some of the best creations, and not only meaningful creations, but meaningful moments that you'll keep with you the rest of your life. So that would be my word, compassion.
I couldn't have put it better myself if I tried. So I think those are all the questions that we have.
Sounds good. Thank you, Pablo. Nice meeting you, Noah.
Thank you so much, Alex.
Have a good one.
Bye. Take care.
Bye.